The release of Oliver Stone's controversial movie JFK has certainly sparked renewed interest in the 29-year-old mystery. The film goes against the magic bullet theory, the notion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. It advances the conspiracy theory. Perhaps the CIA and Lyndon Johnson were involved together. That is the view held by Larry Howard. He was directing advisor for this movie. He's also the president of the JFK Assassination Information Center in Dallas, Texas. He joins us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Well, can we go back maybe to how you got started in this whole thing? Because I think probably like most Americans, you recall where you were, when it happened, and then it kind of simmered in the back of your consciousness for many years, but the assassination kind of came to the forefront, what, 9 years ago?
Probably 10 years ago. I really didn't think much about the assassination after it happened. I thought Lee Harvey Oswald did it just like I was told. In '82, I took a course at the University of Texas at Arlington, one night a week for 8 weeks, just on continuing education on the JFK assassination, just to have something to do. And found out they'd been lied to, and bothered me.
Who lied to you?
Well, the government lied to me. The Warren Commission lied to me. I believed what they told me. I was very naive in '63. We hadn't had Watergate, hadn't had Vietnam. So our government, why would they lie to me?
That was before the loss of innocence, wasn't it?
That's
well,
true.
What did they lie about, and how did you know they'd lied?
Well, once I saw this Zapruder film, which I'd never seen a real clear version of it, it was obvious that Kennedy got shot from the right front. His head goes backward violently. The two motorcycle officers behind the car were hit with so much blood and brain matter they thought they had been shot. Now, how in the world would you shoot from the rear and this happened? It's physics don't allow it to happen.
So then that sparked you to do what? What followed from that then?
Well, the man that taught the course was named Jim Mars, and he was an ex-newspaper man, and he kept telling me, I actually hired him for a condo project, this PR man, because he didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, this was still a part-time venture.
Oh, yeah, it's just interesting. And he kept telling me, well, if I had some money, I'd write a book on this. So I gave him $20,000 to sit down for 6 months to write a book. During the process, I started doing research for the book and met Marina Oswald, General Edwin Walker, District Attorney Henry Wade, all the people that were surrounding in this. And then I set up at the gun show in Dallas. There's 30,000 people a weekend come to the gun show, and I thought, well, why not put up a booth on the Kennedy assassination, and maybe someone would come by and tell us what they know in Dallas. Literally scared to death in '83, '84. You just didn't do this.
Yes, can you recreate for us maybe that era, because there was a time when Dallas spent a lot of time and effort trying to block out that this ever happened in their town, wasn't it?
Well, it was certainly a black eye on Dallas, you know, and Dallas wasn't responsible. It was a Texas murder, basically. And they've had to live with this since '63, but they didn't want to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, maybe it didn't happen. So
you set up this booth
at the gun show, and by the afternoon, we were the most popular booth out of 500 booths at the gun show. Just the response was incredible, and people came by. We got 4 or 5 leads that one afternoon, and we gathered so much information that we produced the book Crossfire, which became one of the master books for the movie JFK. So through that, I realized that people really cared what happened in '63. It changed the world. And I decided to put a permanent place in Dallas. And in the 25th anniversary, 1988, a man named Gary Shaw, who wrote a book called Cover Up, and Bernard Finsterwall, an attorney in Washington, D.C., who was best friends with John Kennedy, we met in Dallas, and in a little cafe on a napkin, we drew the plans for the JFK Center. And in 6 months, we were set up and had the
Did you think there was a need for this, or was there a want for this?
There was a want for it. There was a need. There was no place in the world for people to come and tell us what they knew. Or where would you go? The FBI? They'd have to cover this up. So we felt a permanent place that was open every day that people could come and tell us what they know. We'd investigate the leads, and then in turn make an exhibit and show the American people or the world what we found out, so they could come to the center, look at the evidence, and decide for themselves what happened.
In a nut, the Warren Commission says that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, and the magic bullet is the one that killed the president and also injured Senator Connally.
That's correct.
Now, that in a nut is what the commission says. You say otherwise, and tell us your version and maybe why you say that.
Well, certainly the single bullet theory is ludicrous. It never happened. You cannot make 7 wounds in 2 men and have a bullet come out in pristine condition and do all the zigzagging, which the Oliver film Stone explains extremely well with Costner playing Jim Garrison. Everyone that hadn't seen the movie certainly needs to go see it. It's a very powerful film. It's based on facts, the movie is, but it's not a documentary, so we have some liberties that we can work with. But the movie is very powerful. But my personal opinion on what happens, is that what you're asking me?
Yes, sir.
John F. Kennedy committed suicide. Political suicide. Number one, he was thrown out of Vietnam. Number two, he was getting rid of the mafia that helped him get elected. Number three, he was getting rid of Lyndon Johnson. He wasn't going to be on the 64 ticket. Number four, he was going to retire J. Edgar Hoover. Number five, he had fired Allen Dulles, head of the CIA, to break the CIA up into a million pieces. He was changing the monetary system. He was making peace efforts with Khrushchev and Castro. So all this was happening at one time. The people that really had the power base in this country was Johnson, Hoover, and Dulles.
Now, why Johnson? What was his power base?
Well, Johnson had been, politically, he controlled the Congress, the Senate, and that's one reason Kennedy made him vice president, to nullify his power. Once he was vice president, he had no power, basically. and then they carried the South to the vote. That was two reasons.
But his power base was the Democratic Party.
Well, the whole Congress and Senate, he had the power. He was very convincing. That was his lifestyle. Where Kennedy was Camelot. He was handsome. Jackie was beautiful. So he had the real power structure here, and he had Camelot over here. And the real power base decided that Kennedy was a threat to national security and worldwide peace. And through rogue elements of the CIA, with the mafia as a junior partner, they killed him. And then it was covered up from the very top, using Lee Harvey Oswald as the patsy and the lone assassin. The Warren Commission was set up to find Lee Harvey Oswald guilty. And the Warren Commission was also set up to take the investigation from Texas. It was a Texas murder. In 1963, it was not a federal crime to kill the President of the United States. It's still on the books in Texas because there's no statutes and limitations on murder in Texas. So we're trying to get the case reopened through the Attorney General's office in Austin, Texas at this moment.
You think you know who pulled the trigger?
Yes, I do. Sure do. About 2 years ago, a young man came to us, and we've always said we can run down these leads, and the only way we're really going to find out if somebody walks through our door and tells us what happened.
And that's why you opened the center.
Yeah, that's why we're there, for information. This young man comes in the door and says, I think my father killed John Kennedy. I want you to prove he didn't. Well, we thought it was another coup, because we have a lot of those too. We said, well, what proof do you have? He said, well, in 1982, I found my father's footlocker. He was a Marine, and in the footlocker was this journal. And in this journal was his participation day by day of the Kennedy assassination. And we said, well, let us see the journal. He said, well, the FBI took it from me in 88. I don't have it. So we say, well, here's another coup. You don't have a journal. We said, what else do you have? He said, well, my father left on the same ship Lee Harvey Oswald did for the Philippines. And sure enough, he had the records of both, and they did. And then he had a picture of Jack Ruby and his mother together. His mother worked for Jack Ruby. His father joined the Dallas Police Department in October of '63. And just one thing after another, and we started to chase the leads on it. And in June of 1990, he found a metal container in Paris, Texas, that held the orders to kill Kennedy that his father was given from Navy intelligence. And
On paper?
On paper. We have them at the center in Dallas.
Larry, we have just seconds left. What kind of reaction are you getting from official sources?
Well, the official sources, certainly Oliver Stone's turning them up more than I am. But
movies do it more than the books these days.
Certainly we feel we're being watched. There again, we're patriotic. We want to find out the truth. And we're going to open up a center in Niagara Falls, Canada, and bring BB Plaza and what happened to Canada so the Canadians can see what happened. I have two partners, Tim Hauser and Chris Hauser, that are Canadian, that are doing this with me. And the Canadians seem, we get letters all the time from Canada. Very, very interested in the subject, as the whole world is.
Well, good luck to you, sir.
Well,
Thanks
thank
very
you
much for
very
your
much.
testimony.
Nice to be there.
We'll be right back, Kennedy.